It's very early, Sunday morning, and everyone's asleep. We had a really late night, but it's going to be a perfect day for a drive in the Ferrari this morning. So I'm going to take the Ferrari out. The only problem is, I need to be really quiet. That's easier said than done. Well, it's hardly sat all bet. Is there a better alarm clock than a wailing Ferrari V8? Hi, honey. Yes, that was me this morning. Yes, I'll try and be quieter next time. Right, well, I've had my drive up the mountain, and today I thought I'd just talk about gearboxes. When you go on the forums, the Ferrari chat forums, which are really good, by the way, one of the things they always talk about is manual versus F1. There's always a debate, what's better? When I was buying my car, I didn't really have a lot of options in terms of gearboxes because so few cars in Spain, I think, were sold with a manual gearbox. Most of them were sold with the F1 gearbox, the paddle shift. And so when I was looking for a car, I didn't really have an option to go, oh, I need a red Spider, manual, low mileage, carbon fiber seats. You know, there's just not that many cars available to make that choice. Going for a manual gearbox was never an option. It's only now that I sort of crave the manual gearbox. That's the honest truth. And I do love this paddle shift. I love the blips that you get when you're coming down the gears. Like now I'm about to hit a roundabout. I don't even think with my heel and toe in I could match the the greatness of those gear changes. I think a manual 360 has to be one of the best Ferraris you could buy today, because it's still one of those sort of like more simple Ferraris. Okay, there's some electronics here. It's that simplicity, that rawness of the 360 that sort of dilutes a bit when you get to the 430 and dilutes even more by the time you get to the 458 or the 488, which are just like a different planet. They're in a different gearbox. They're just a completely different planet. So this rawness that you get with the 360, I think it was like the first of the new generation. Because obviously they made a few manuals. I'm not sure how many, I haven't checked the numbers, and even less for the 430. And yeah, you know, I would love to have had, I think the perfect car, I think for me, would have been this, what I have now, but with the stick shift, as they call it in America. I think the manual really just adds to the whole analog feeling of the car. You know, later cars are very digital, there's so many computers doing so many things. But I think the 360 was that first sort of comfortable car. The 348 wasn't a great car. The 355 still has to be probably the best looking, in my opinion anyway, and a car that sort of returned Ferrari to form, but it was still based on the 348 platform, so it was compromised in various areas, particularly in comfort. And the 360 addressed that. The 360 is a much bigger car, it's a much more comfortable car, but it's also a great sounding car. When people talk about should they get an F1 or a manual, there is another factor that comes into it, and that's price. Because you're going to pay a lot more for a manual car because there's just so few of them. Why were so few manuals sold originally? And I think the reason why so few manuals were sold was because Ferrari's clientele, they're not racers generally. And I think the majority of people with money, they can buy a Ferrari because they've got money, not because they're particularly great drivers or they want to use it on a track or something. They want comfort. That's why the 360 addressed all these comfort issues, because the Ferrari client, the customer, they wanted comfort, they wanted speed, they wanted something beautiful looking, and they wanted comfort. And to make something comfortable, you also have to make it change its own gear. what's happening now, where people like me can now afford to buy one of these cars, that we want them as pure as possible. It's that purity that's lacking in so many modern cars, and we're after that sort of like, we couldn't afford these cars when they were new. They were completely out of reach. And that's why Ferraris moved to the dual clutch gearboxes. They're so smooth, they're so refined, they're just what their customers want. But for the petrol heads out there, we're just enjoying that these have depreciated so much. And now they're like the cheap Ferrari, but these are a really good car. And the icing on the cake is if you can get that one with the iconic silver ball. That has to be the ultimate. And yeah, you know, if you can get one and if you can afford it, I think the manual is definitely the way to go. I mean, the F1 gearbox in this car is quite clunky. It is clunky. And especially in traffic, it's a little bit awkward. But don't get me wrong, because I really like my paddle shift gearbox. I love the fact that you feel like a Formula 1 driver when you're up and down the gears. And when you put it in sport mode, they're quite brutal. They're quite brutal gear changes. They're very fast, actually. And it is great fun. It is great fun. It is great fun to be blipping that throttle. And you just can't beat that sound. But you know, in sport mode, those gear changes are so quick. They're so quick. Hope you like the video. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to do some more videos with the Ferrari and with the Ford RS that I've got. So hope you like the videos. I'm trying to keep them as interesting as possible. So please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, share it, do whatever you want. And look forward to sharing some more videos with you very soon.